Before we drift into tonight's tale of the hidden physics of Adventure Time, I'd love to know where in the world are you watching from tonight? And what time is it for you right now? Drop it in the comments below. It's always magical, seeing how far and wide this sleepy little community reaches. All right, lights low, blankets up, let's begin. Tonight, we travel not through storylines or battles, but through the invisible threads that hold Ooo together. The quiet rules that shape how time flows, how dreams breathe, and how magic hums beneath every stone, tree, and star. The world of Ooo is more than land and sky. It's a living field of strange physics, half born of science, half whispered by imagination. When you first look at it, the Land of Ooo feels almost familiar, like Earth after a long and distant dream. There are clouds that drift lazily across blue skies, rivers that sing softly through valleys, and creatures that live, love, and laugh. But beneath that familiar calm is something different, something altered by the echoes of a long-forgotten catastrophe. The Great Mushroom War didn't just change life on Earth, it rewrote the very code of existence. You can almost sense it in the air of the faint hum of an old world's technology still lingering, blending with the quiet pulse of new magical forces. It's as if two systems of reality, the logical and the mystical, merged into one. Imagine physics itself trying to find its balance again, confused yet curious, like a child learning to walk after a fall. The atoms, the energy, the gravity, all seem to obey a rhythm that's no longer purely scientific. It's softer now, more emotional, more responsive. Some say the world of Ooo is alive, that the land itself listens, remembers, and reshapes according to the feelings of those who walk upon it. The grass bends a little more gently when kindness is near. The clouds seem heavier when sorrow lingers. Even time, that quiet river, slows down in moments of tenderness and races in moments of chaos. It's as if reality in Ooo has learned to feel. And maybe in a way it has. If you look closely, everything in this world carries memory, not just the people, but the ground itself. The candy forests, the floating kingdoms, the deserts of glass, all seem to breathe with stories that once were human, but have since evolved into something magical. From the remnants of science came the seeds of new life. Candy people, elemental beings, talking animals, creations that should not exist according to the old rules of biology or physics. Yet here they simply are, accepted by the logic of wonder. It's almost as if imagination took the reins where science fell silent. And so Ooo became a patchwork of old and new, a realm where emotion can move matter and belief can shape form. Finn's sword cuts not just through enemies, but through time itself. Marceline's music doesn't just echo, it alters moods, mends hearts, and perhaps even shifts the atmosphere. The Ice King's crown bends thermodynamics, freezing oceans and summoning storms from thin air, all driven by a curse of longing. And yet none of this feels out of place, because in Ooo, these aren't exceptions, they are the rule. This balance between logic and magic is what defines the soft fabric of Ooo. It's not that physics has disappeared, it's that it's expanded. It has absorbed feeling, story, and soul into its equations. Think of the four great elementals: flame, ice, slime, and candy. Each one embodies a primal aspect of reality. They are not gods, not exactly, but rather living personifications of natural laws. Fire becomes will and anger. Ice becomes memory and isolation. Slime becomes adaptability. Candy becomes joy and community. Together they form something like the new periodic table of existence, where emotions and personality are as fundamental as protons or electrons. It's fascinating to think that these elements don't just control the world, they are the world. When they clash, nature itself bends. When they find harmony, the world hums in peace. It's the ultimate reminder that in Ooo, physical reality responds to emotional truth. There's a quiet poetry in that, isn't there? Even the simplest places in Ooo, a cave, a lake, a small village of candy people, seem to shimmer with this dual nature. You can feel it in the color of the air, in the way light bends differently at dawn, and how shadows seem to stretch a little too long when something ancient stirs beneath the ground. It's not just visual magic, it's physical magic. The laws of this land seem to rewrite themselves with every heartbeat, guided not by formulas, but by intention. And maybe that's the real secret of Oo's existence. It's not that the world runs on new physics. It runs on meaning. Every creature, every place, every relic left behind from the old world contributes a different kind of energy. The broken satellites orbiting above might still whisper electricity into the clouds. The ruins of cities may hum faintly with dormant AI, blending with elemental forces below. Together they create an ecosystem where technology and magic no longer fight, they fuse. That fusion gives Ooo its dreamlike texture. Everything feels both grounded and impossible. You can sense the echoes of science fiction and fantasy existing side by side, each explaining the other, yet neither fully in control. It's why a being like Princess Bubblegum can exist part scientist, part creation, part ruler of candy. She is the perfect embodiment of this world's hidden physics, a being who uses logic to command magic and compassion to control chaos. And in her we see the world's greatest paradox, that the more one understands Ooo, the stranger it becomes. Knowledge here doesn't dissolve mystery, it deepens it. The deeper we look into Oo's fabric, the more we realize that its rules were never meant to be absolute. They bend, stretch, and shimmer just like dreams do. Perhaps that's why this world feels so peaceful to wander through, even when it's filled with danger. There's a softness to it all, an understanding that chaos and order aren't enemies here. They are dance partners, circling each other through the ages. And maybe that's why Ooo has survived so long. Because it learned to breathe, to exist between opposites. As night deepens in this strange land, we can almost imagine the invisible hum of its essence, a gentle vibration running through everything, keeping it alive. The rivers, the trees, the stars all pulsing to the same slow rhythm. Somewhere in that rhythm lies the secret we're trying to understand, the hidden physics of Ooo, written not in equations, but in feelings. And yet this is only the surface, because as we move deeper into Oo's strange reality, we'll soon see how this fabric doesn't just bend space and energy, it bends time itself. Time in Ooo doesn't just pass, it breathes, it stretches and curls, folding over itself like fabric that remembers every hand that's ever touched it. When you look closely, you can sense that the moments of this world aren't fixed. The past feels close enough to touch. The future hums faintly in the background, and the present feels like a dream you can never quite wake from. This flexibility in time is one of Oo's quietest mysteries. It's not chaotic, it's intentional. Like the world itself wants to keep its stories alive by letting them echo. Old ruins whisper to the living, and even the oldest relics of the human age seem to remember the warmth of their creators. The Mushroom War might have ended millennia ago, yet its heartbeat continues faint, but steady, hidden beneath the laughter of candy people and the songs of talking animals. It's as if the world refuses to let go of its memories. Maybe that's why ghosts and echoes wander here so easily. They're not unnatural. They're just leftovers of moments that Ooo hasn't yet decided to forget. The fabric of Ooo is like a vast dream catcher, every strand representing a law of existence, every intersection a story, every knot a life that once flickered bright. The threads tremble when emotion passes through them, sending ripples that affect all else. That's why a single act of kindness can change the course of an entire kingdom. Why one wish in Prismo's time room can ripple across infinite dimensions. It's not just magic. It's physics of empathy. A rule built into the world quietly saying, everything is connected. Everything feels. Even the land itself seems to hold emotional memory. You can see it in the Fire Kingdom's trembling heat, in the Ice Kingdom's eternal melancholy. Each place vibrates with the emotion that birthed it. Flame Princess's realm burns not because of chemistry, but because of will, a kingdom of emotion in its purest, most volatile state. And then there's the Ice King, whose endless frost isn't merely temperature, but sorrow made solid. His loneliness turned into a weather pattern. This blending of feeling and physics gives Ooo its haunting beauty, a kind of quiet equilibrium where the heart defines the environment. It's the reason the Candy Kingdom feels so comforting, why the nightosphere is oppressive and strange, and why places like the Enchiridian's resting site feel sacred even when silent. If emotions are forces here, then perhaps the people of Ooo are not just living beings, but catalysts. Every adventure, every laugh, every heartbreak they experience subtly shifts the structure of their world. The magic that once lay dormant awakens, reshapes itself, and flows toward the strongest emotional signal nearby. Princess Bubblegum may not speak it aloud, but she understands it. Her scientific curiosity is less about mastering the laws of matter and more about listening to them. She knows that Oo's chemistry isn't just molecular, it's emotional. And so her experiments become rituals of harmony. Her science becomes another form of magic. It's a quiet irony that in trying to restore order, Bubblegum often brushes against chaos. Because in Ooo, balance isn't stillness, it's motion, a constant, soft oscillation between creation and decay. The world doesn't want to be perfect. It wants to stay alive. If you could float above Ooo at night, high enough to see all its kingdoms shimmer in the darkness, you'd notice how each region glows in its own rhythm. The Fire Kingdom pulses like a heartbeat, bright and wild. The Ice Kingdom glows faint and blue, slow as the memory of a song. The Candy Kingdom sparkles in soft pastel hues, like a dream of innocence. And between them all, forests whisper, deserts sigh. Oceans murmur, every corner part of one vast living network. It's humbling to think that every star above might be listening too. That perhaps even the cosmos, those quiet watchers beyond time, are gently tuned to the music of Ooo. Somewhere between these lights and shadows lies the truth that keeps this world so strangely peaceful. That maybe physics here isn't a set of boundaries. It's an expression of compassion. A world rebuilt not by precision, but by forgiveness, by letting old systems and new energies coexist in delicate, endless motion. And as we keep wandering through this strange equilibrium, one thought lingers. What if the Mushroom War didn't destroy the laws of nature at all? What if it simply awakened them, gave them feeling, voice, and memory? It's possible that when the old Earth burned, the energy released wasn't just radiation or fire, but a kind of emotional residue, the fear, the sorrow, the hope of billions. And that emotion seeped into the soil, into the sky, into the atoms themselves, rewriting their purpose. So when the first new creatures rose from that silence, they inherited more than matter. They inherited memory. They carried within them the last wishes of a world that once was to be better, to be gentler, to be alive in a way humans could never fully understand. And that, perhaps, is the truest nature of Oo's physics, a universe rebuilt from feeling, a quiet realm where matter remembers love and energy dreams. If you listen closely enough, not with your ears, but with your quietest thoughts, you can almost feel that hum beneath everything. It's in the wind that slides across the grassy plains, carrying faint echoes of laughter from long ago. It's in the soft glow of the candy kingdom at twilight, the sweetness in the air, not just from sugar, but from the warmth of collective joy. Every inch of Ooo seems to vibrate with purpose, with feeling, as though reality itself has become sentient in its gentleness. When Finn walks through these lands, it's not only his footsteps that move the ground, it's his presence. His courage ripples outward, unnoticed but powerful. Every act of kindness, every stubborn belief in good, seems to calm the landscape around him. Trees straighten, the air lightens, even the distant stars appear to listen. It's a small but meaningful reminder that physics here isn't impersonal. It's responsive, almost empathetic. And then there's Jake, whose body defies every rule of the natural world. His stretching and morphing aren't simply powers in the way we might think of superhuman ability. In Oo's strange logic, he's an expression of the universe's flexibility, a physical embodiment of the world's willingness to adapt. He bends because reality allows it, because imagination in Ooo is not a rebellion against physics, it is physics. Jake's power is playful, but it carries quiet symbolism, that the world itself prefers elasticity over rigidity. The universe is happiest when it can laugh, stretch, and change shape. All of this creates a world where consequence feels organic, not imposed. If someone misuses power, it doesn't simply break the rules, it disturbs the emotional field that sustains them. That's why dark magic always feels so heavy in Ooo. It's not just dangerous, it's sad. It's the sound of imbalance, of harmony turned sour. Even the darkest entities, like Hunson Abadir or the Lich, don't defy the world's physics. They exist because of them. They are proof that every light needs a shadow, that entropy has its own kind of grace. In the ruins of the old world, you can still find the quiet marriage between human invention and post-apocalyptic evolution. A rusted circuit half buried beneath moss still hums faintly, powered by sunlight that doesn't obey normal thermodynamics. A broken television glows for a moment at dusk, replaying memories no one remembers recording. These are not glitches, they're harmonies. The remains of logic learning how to dream again. It's tempting to see Ooo as a world of nonsense, but that's not quite true. It's not chaos, it's coherence of a different kind, one that moves through emotion rather than calculation. A smile, a song, a story, all can alter the landscape in ways machines never could. You can see it in the way music travels here. Marceline's bass doesn't just play notes. It rearranges the air, stirs forgotten feelings, sometimes even rewrites memories. Her songs reach across time and through hearts, a kind of quantum resonance built on longing. When she sings of her past, the shadows around her soften, as if they too are listening, forgiving. Even Peppermint Butler, who dabbles in the darker arts, seems to understand this principle better than anyone. His studies of necromancy and cosmic order aren't just power plays, they're experiments in balance. He knows that every spell, every charm, every whisper of the underworld must be answered by light, or else the world begins to ache. In a place like this, equilibrium isn't about control, it's about empathy. The world of Ooo thrives on emotional reciprocity. It feels what you feel, reflects what you give. In return, it invites its inhabitants to live in awareness of their inner state, because the land listens to every whisper of the heart. You can see this most clearly in moments of peace. When Finn and Jake lie in the grass after an adventure, the horizon glows with a subtle warmth, not just sunlight, but resonance. The universe hums approval, quietly acknowledging their harmony with it. And when sorrow falls, when hearts break, when goodbyes linger too long, the world doesn't fight it. It rains softly, as though mourning alongside them. That softness, that acceptance, is what makes Ooo feel so unlike any other world. It is a realm rebuilt on compassion. Not the loud kind, not the heroic kind, but the quiet, patient compassion that simply lets things be. That, too, is a law of physics here. The principle of coexistence. In this gentle system, even destruction carries renewal. Every burnt forest grows stranger flowers. Every frozen tear gives rise to new creatures. The world never resists decay. It incorporates it, learns from it, and transforms it into something new. Perhaps that's why the elements never truly destroy one another, no matter how violently they clash. Fire melts ice, ice cools fire, slime absorbs both, candy rebuilds what's lost in an endless cycle of dissolution and restoration. A breathing, sentient algorithm of balance. It's humbling, really, to realize that in Ooo, even chaos serves a purpose. Even sadness has weight. Even silence carries meaning. Maybe this is what the Great Mushroom War truly left behind. Not devastation, but a new blueprint for existence. A reminder that when reason fails, imagination will heal what's broken. That even the end of the world can become the beginning of something tender, something luminous, something that remembers both pain and hope. And if that's true, then Ooo isn't just a world rebuilt after the fall of man. It's a living experiment in empathy, a universe that decided feeling was more powerful than force, and story more enduring than no. In this new dawn of physics, emotion became gravity, meaning became light, and the heart became the true measure of energy. But there's more to this hidden order, more layers beneath the dream. Because once we understand how Oo's emotions shape its form, we begin to glimpse the next great mystery, how those same emotions reach beyond the present moment, stretching and looping through time itself. Time in Ooo behaves like a ribbon floating in still water, sometimes smooth, sometimes caught in quiet spirals, always circling back to moments that matter. When we talk about time in this world, we're not speaking of seconds or hours. We're speaking of feeling the tempo of memory and meaning. You might notice how time seems to soften when Finn is lost in thought, or how it bends when Prismo grants a wish. These aren't coincidences. They're symptoms of a world where time doesn't just move, it listens. In the same way the Land of Ooo reacts to emotion, time reacts to intent. The stronger the desire, the deeper the echo. That's why stories here often repeat themselves in different shapes. A choice made by one being ripples outward, repeating through generations until it finds resolution. The same love, the same loss, the same longing, looping through history like a melody remembered by the wind. Time in Ooo is not an arrow, it's a heartbeat. If you look closely, you'll find clues scattered everywhere. The Enchiridion, with its endless pages of wisdom, doesn't just record knowledge, it retains it, updating itself as though the book lives across moments simultaneously. Or consider the tree fort, a place that feels unstuck from the flow of time. It changes and grows, yet never truly decays. It has weathered countless seasons, but remains a quiet anchor, a small pocket of timeless safety amid constant transformation. And then there's the time room, where Prismo lounges on his couch, granting wishes to beings from every reality. The physics of his realm are pure emotion, every decision, every wish, an act of creation that folds space and rewrites causality. But even here, there are limits. A wish must balance the desire of the dreamer with the equilibrium of the universe. Too much selfishness, and the wish tears the fabric. Too much purity, and it fades before taking shape. Prismo understands this balance better than anyone. Reality, even one as fluid as Ooo, cannot survive without restraint. It's strange and beautiful to imagine time as something alive, something that learns, adapts, and forgives. Perhaps this is why Oo's history is filled with second chances. Characters evolve, mistakes are undone, cycles heal themselves. Ice King, one Simon, drifts endlessly between madness and humanity. Yet somehow time continues to offer him glimpses of redemption, like small ripples trying to bring him back to shore. Marceline, too, lives as proof that the past never truly dies here. She is memory incarnate, carrying centuries within her heart. Time moves through her gently, not erasing but reshaping her story with every new connection she forms. And maybe in this quiet physics, we find something tender that the world itself doesn't want its children to fade. That every version of Finn, every echo of Jake, every alternate world branching from a single decision is part of one great tapestry, continuously weaving itself toward understanding. In this sense, Ooo isn't governed by strict cause and effect, it's guided by resonance. Moments that harmonize stay close together. Moments that clash drift apart. Time bends to keep certain hearts within reach, the same way dreams bring back faces we thought we'd lost. That's what makes the world feel so eternal. Every event, no matter how fleeting, leaves a trace, a shimmer that never fades. The world remembers kindness. It remembers sorrow. It remembers laughter. All those memories accumulate, layering the landscape like invisible sediment. And if you could stand in one place long enough, maybe by the edge of the Candy Kingdom, or on the cliffs overlooking the grasslands, you'd start to feel it. The slow pulse of the world beneath your feet. The quiet accumulation of ages. The land breathing, remembering, forgiving. This is what it means to live in a world after the end. A world that rebuilt itself not through domination, but through patience. The physics of Ooo are not about control, they are about allowance. They let things coexist, even contradictions, until balance is born again. So when we speak of the soft fabric of this world, we're really speaking of empathy woven into existence. Every law of motion, every burst of flame, every frozen tear is stitched together by the same thread, the quiet will to continue. Perhaps that's why sleep feels different in Ooo. Dreams don't take you away from reality, they carry you deeper into it. The dreamscape here is simply another layer of physics, another way the universe lets its inhabitants explore what they cannot face awake. It's where the rules loosen, just enough to reveal the pattern beneath the warm pulse of existence that connects everything, from the smallest ember to the brightest star. And in that pulse, one truth whispers softly, that Ooo was never just rebuilt from rubble, but reborn from yearning, the yearning of a world that refused to stop dreaming. Because in the end, physics here is not about numbers or forces. It's about the way everything, every person, every creature, every element shares the same quiet dream of belonging. The same desire to be part of something whole, gentle, and alive. And as night falls over this land once more, its magic hums faintly in the wind. The stars tilt closer, listening. The earth sighs in its sleep. The world of Ooo turns slowly beneath them, not in orbit, but in rhythm, a dream still unfolding, held together by softness, wonder, and light. And that is the soft fabric of Ooo, a universe where the rules of feelings and the laws of nature are written in love. Time in Ooo is not a straight line. It is not a ticking clock counting down the hours, nor a neat timeline of events. It feels softer, almost like a ribbon drifting through still water, twisting, folding, and glimmering as it catches the light. It hums quietly, as if it remembers every song it has ever heard. When you stand still in Ooo long enough, you begin to sense it, that gentle breathing of time. Sometimes it feels like everything has happened before, and yet it's happening for the first time. It's not a contradiction. It's the nature of this world. In Ooo, time feels alive. Perhaps this is why memories never fade completely here. They linger like ghosts in the air, not haunting, just watching. You can almost feel the past walking beside the present, gently touching shoulders, whispering small reminders of what once was. When Finn wanders through ancient ruins, he's not just exploring stone and dust. He's walking through the remnants of centuries, each still humming with faint echoes of their time. This sense of temporal breathing is woven deeply into the world's design. You can see it in the way old characters return, changed, but familiar. You can hear it in the music of Marceline's songs, her voice reaching backward through time, trying to find the boy with glasses who once gave her soup when the sky burned red. In Ooo, time loops in kindness. It forgets in fragments, but forgives in full. It lets lost things reappear: a crown, a sword, a melody, always at the moment they're needed most. There's something soothing about that, isn't there? The idea that time isn't an enemy, but a caretaker, not a force pulling us forward, but one holding us gently, teaching through repetition. We've seen glimpses of this living time through Prismo, that sleepy, cheerful being reclining on his couch in the time room. He exists both inside and outside of time, granting wishes that ripple through infinite realities. When he speaks, you can almost hear time itself sighing through his words. Every wish he grants becomes a new branch of reality, not separate, but resonating in harmony with all others. Prismo doesn't just control time, he harmonizes, as though he's strumming the strings of a cosmic instrument. It makes you wonder, maybe time isn't a ruler in Ooo at all. Maybe it's a musician. It doesn't command the world to move forward, it plays it like a song, each life a different note. This would explain the strange ease with which Ooo moves between past and future. Finn meets versions of himself that never were older, wiser, sometimes broken, sometimes whole. Yet none of it feels wrong. It feels natural, like looking into ripples of the same pond under changing light. Every action here sends out waves through the water of existence. A wish made in Prismo's time room vibrates outward, shifting the reflections of every other world. The farm where Finn once lived as a boy in an alternate timeline is not separate from Ooo. It's another note in the same melody. And the melody always returns to its refrain: love, loss, learning, and renewal. Even the concept of fate feels different here. It's not strict or mechanical. It bends for emotion. The cosmic owl, that quiet messenger who drifts through dreams, carries glimpses of possible futures, not fixed ones, but probabilities shaped by how the dreamer feels. When he visits, it's not to dictate destiny, but to remind the dreamer that choices still hum beneath the surface. His presence is the whisper of time saying, you can still change this if you wish softly enough. There's a gentleness in that, too. In Ooo, time doesn't punish, it doesn't erase. It listens, it reshapes. That's why ancient ruins still glow faintly when touched, why voices echo faintly across centuries, and why the same faces appear across ages, reincarnations, echoes, or perhaps just time remembering what it loved. The world of Ooo never truly loses anything, it just changes the way it holds it. A sword that once belonged to a hero becomes a relic buried beneath roots. A soul that once carried laughter becomes the wind whistling through that same forest. Everything remains because time here does not discard. It recycles tenderness into new forms. It's a comforting thought that nothing is ever really gone, only transformed. It turns grief into gentleness and endings into soft beginnings. Maybe that's why the end of one story always feels like the start of another in Ooo. The show itself seems to understand this physics, every episode flowing into the next with quiet inevitability, like the turning of seasons that never truly leave but shift their colors, their temperature, their mood. If you could step outside of Ooo for a moment and look at its timeline from afar, you wouldn't see a straight road. You'd see a spiral wide, luminous, and endless, folding into itself with every new experience. And at the heart of that spiral would be something very small, very gentle. The desire to keep learning, to keep feeling, to keep dreaming. Because in Ooo, time isn't a ruler or a chain. It's a companion, walking beside every creature, humming softly, reminding them that nothing truly ends. Not love, not hope, not even a simple story told under a night sky. You can almost sense this living time in the quietest moments, the still pauses between adventures, when Finn sits at the edge of a hill, looking out over the valley of Ooo as the light shifts from gold to blue. The world doesn't rush him. The clouds don't hurry past. It feels as if the entire landscape is breathing with him, slowly, patiently, as though it remembers every sunset that ever was. There's something beautifully cyclical about this. The land seems to know that stories repeat themselves in softer shapes. Heroes rise and rest. Empires crumble, then grow again under new colors. Even the magic itself, that wild pulse beneath Oo's soil, hums to a rhythm older than timekeeping. It waits for its moment to resurface, never lost, only hidden beneath centuries of change. Maybe this is why the characters of Ooo rarely fear the passage of time. They feel its pull, of course, the sadness of growing older, the fading of old friendships, but it never seems cruel. Instead, it feels like a tide. It takes and returns, reshaping the sands of every life. Think of Simon Petrikov, once the kind-hearted antiquarian, later the Ice King. His story is one of time's most haunting melodies. The crown froze him in more ways than one, his body caught in centuries that slipped by like snowflakes. Yet even then, time didn't abandon him, it waited. It circled back, patiently weaving new connections, guiding Marceline back to him when the cycle was ready. Their reunion, bittersweet and quiet, felt like time finally exhaling after holding its breath for ages. Time in Ooo doesn't heal with precision. It heals through persistence. It lets moments return when hearts are ready for them. When Finn meets Seaman again after so long, you can feel that pattern like ripples meeting ripples, gently canceling out pain and replacing it with understanding. And maybe that's what Oo's physics of time truly teaches, that progress isn't forward motion, it's depth. Growth doesn't mean escaping the past. It means learning to live alongside it. This living thread of time also reveals itself through the concept of parallel worlds, not as alternate universes in a scientific sense, but as dreams the world itself might be having. Each version of Finn, from the farm world survivor to the reflective dreamer, feels less like a separate being and more like an echo through the fabric of possibility. The universe of Ooo is constantly imagining itself in new shapes, testing different ways to be kind, to endure, to begin again. Even Prismo's existence hints at this, a being born from a wish, who in turn grants wishes. He is a loop given form, a dream that learned to stay awake. When he sleeps, the timeline shifts. When he wakes, everything aligns again. It's as though time depends on his dreaming to keep its rhythm steady. That's a fascinating thought, that time might need rest just as much as living things do. That perhaps the flow of Oo's reality relies on moments of stillness, of reflection, pauses where existence catches its breath before continuing. This could explain why moments of quiet in the show feel so sacred. When the characters simply sit together, say nothing, and let the silence fill the air, you can almost hear the world knitting itself back together. The gentle crackle of a campfire, the soft hum of a distant wind. In those instants, Ooo feels timeless, as if the universe itself is taking a nap. Maybe that's the secret physics of it all, that the universe doesn't just exist in motion, but also in rest. Time, in its kindness, includes sleep as part of its rhythm. Without those pauses, those quiet nights under the stars, even heroes would lose their sense of meaning. The same pattern shows up in the cosmic entities that watch over the flow of existence. The time room isn't a place of chaos or endless clocks ticking away. It's serene, softly lit, filled with a strange calm. When Prismo speaks, it's never in urgency. It's in gentle awareness. Every choice, every shift, is accepted as part of a larger melody that no one can quite hear, but everyone can feel. And then there's the paradox of the Enchiridion, a book that teaches heroes the way forward, but also connects them to the very fabric of time. It carries within it lessons that seem ancient and yet oddly predictive. Maybe it's not a book in the usual sense, but a kind of temporal anchor, something that allows mortals to sense the looping nature of Ooo, to glimpse the way everything is connected through infinite reflections of itself. When Finn opens it, when he learns from it, perhaps what he's really doing is aligning with the world's natural rhythm, remembering the melody of time that every creature in Ooo hums quietly without even knowing. It's strange and comforting to imagine that time here isn't just a dimension, but a feeling, something that responds to emotion, to longing, to hope. When you love deeply in Ooo, time seems to stretch to hold that love. When you grieve, it folds itself gently around you. And when you sleep, time pauses too, keeping watch until you're ready to wake again. If you listen closely, you can almost hear time breathing within the world of Ooo, not as a ticking clock, but as a slow, patient rhythm. It doesn't demand attention, it doesn't measure or divide. It simply exists, a quiet pulse that holds everything together. And perhaps that's why so many moments in Adventure Time feel suspended between seconds. Those long pauses where the light lingers a little too long on a face, or a song drifts through the air long after the scene has moved on. That's time's soft voice. It's reminding the world to remember. Sometimes it feels as though the land itself bends for emotion. When something deeply meaningful happens, the flow of time in Ooo reacts like water disturbed by a single drop. You can see it in how memories replay, how moments reappear years later as if drawn back into the present. Like when Finn finds relics of the past, the broken swords, the cracked photos, or the soft humming of an old music box. These things don't just exist in time. They hold it. And that's the hidden law of Oo's physics. Emotion is stronger than chronology. Love, grief, and memory are forces of their own, not metaphors, but real currents shaping the timeline. Think of how Finn and Jake sometimes dream of the past or glimpse futures that haven't yet settled. It's never treated as a glitch or anomaly. It's simply how the world breathes. When Finn dreams of his past lives, the comet, Shoko, or even the blue-skinned boy inside the world tree time itself is showing him its own memories. It's a conversation between soul and universe. That cyclical nature, the recurrence of self, reveals a truth that Ooo seems to whisper again and again, that time is not separate from consciousness. The living thread that ties the past to the present isn't merely physics, it's awareness. The universe remembers through those who live within it. When Prismo speaks to Jake, there's a serenity in his tone that feels less like omniscience and more like companionship. He doesn't control Jake's destiny, he observes it, gently guiding him toward what's already unfolding. Prismo knows that each event is connected, not by logic, but by the quiet resonance of meaning. To Prismo, time isn't a map, it's a feeling. The same sense of harmony flows through the cosmic beings above and below Ooo, like the time room and the citadel, or even the unseen strings that connect the nightosphere to the mortal plane. They operate not as machines, but as instruments. The flow of time is their song, and every action, every emotion, becomes part of the greater harmony. When Jake learns about his stretchy powers and their cosmic origins, that strange link between his essence and the shape-shifting of the universe, it feels like he's learning to listen to time rather than bend it. His powers aren't defiance of physics. They're participation in its rhythm. He doesn't break rules, he flows with them. That's the curious beauty of Oo's physics. It rewards harmony, not control. Those who try to dominate time, like those who sought power from the Enchiridion or tried to manipulate the multiverse, find themselves lost, unmoored. But those who trust time, who let it unfold gently, always find peace. You can see this lesson in the way stories resolve. Things aren't fixed by force. They heal through patience. Simon's redemption wasn't achieved through rewinding time or changing the past. It came through allowing the timeline to breathe, to soften, to let forgiveness take root. In that sense, healing and physics are one and the same here. Both require acceptance of flow. Even the strangest distortions of time in Ooo seem born from emotion, from longing, regret, or desire, like the time loops that replay a single day endlessly until someone learns to let go, or the moments when dreams merge with reality because a heart refuses to wake. Ooo does not separate the internal from the external. The mind and the world are reflections of one another. Maybe that's why time appears to shimmer when the characters feel deeply, as if the very air bends in sympathy. It's the world's quiet acknowledgement that emotion has gravity, that love curves space just as strongly as mass. When Finn looks out at the horizon, wondering who he's meant to become, the sunset doesn't rush away. It stays there a little longer, almost listening. Because in Ooo, time isn't indifferent. It cares. It wants the story to unfold in its right rhythm. That's why endings in Adventure Time never feel abrupt. They're not stops, only breaths. Each conclusion leaves a gentle echo, one that carries into the next stage, the next dream, the next version of Ooo. Because time here doesn't consume stories, it preserves them, folding each into the next layer of its spiral. If you could see that spiral, if you could float high above and watch the whole of Oo's existence, from its first spark to its quietest ending, you'd see something wondrous. Not chaos, not destruction, but symmetry. All the ages of the world turning around a single center of calm, like petals around a sleeping seed. That seed is memory, or maybe love, or maybe both. Because in the hidden physics of Ooo, those two things are the same. The universe remembers what it loves, and what it loves, it keeps forever. And maybe that's why the flow of time in Ooo feels so gentle, because it's not driven by cause and effect, but by affection. It moves not to enforce order, but to nurture connection. Time in this world behaves more like a guardian than a mechanism. It notices when someone is lost. It pauses when someone needs to catch their breath. It bends when love or grief grows too heavy for a straight line to carry. There's something almost maternal about that idea that time doesn't rule Ooo, it cradles it. Every moment, even the painful ones, are wrapped in a kind of softness. The tragedies of the past aren't erased, but they're gently reimagined into something meaningful. You can feel it when the show revisits old wounds, the Mushroom War, the loneliness of the Ice King, the remnants of shattered kingdoms. Each time the story returns, it doesn't sting as sharply. The memory remains, but time has soothed its edges, like sea glass, washed smooth by the waves. That's the rhythm of Oo's existence, remembering without reopening, changing without forgetting. And if we think of time as a living thread, then perhaps every soul in Ooo is a strand of that same weave. The heroes, the monsters, the wanderers, each one carrying a spark of the same melody. Their lives cross and uncross, their timelines knot and unknot. But all of it forms one continuous tapestry. You can almost picture it, a vast, shimmering cloth of light and memory, stitched together by stories, glowing faintly with the breath of every living thing. Prismo once hinted that there's a version of every possibility somewhere in the multiverse. But maybe that isn't meant to be chaotic or confusing. Maybe it's just the way time ensures that every feeling, every choice, every wish finds its place. Nothing is lost, because everything that could have been is somewhere, softly playing its part. And so when Finn dreams of other lives, when he feels déjà vu in places he's never been, it's not a mistake. It's the universe showing him the other threads he's connected to. Maybe he's not just a boy born after the end of the world. Maybe he's time's way of reminding itself how to hope. Each action he takes, each act of kindness, ripples backward and forward, touching moments he'll never see, but that still respond in kind. It's easy to think of physics as cold, mechanical, mathematical. But in Ooo, it's tender. It listens. It's shaped by emotion. Time isn't measured by clocks, but by the warmth of connection. You can sense that in the quiet gestures when BMO stares out the window humming softly, when Marceline lets her guitar strings fade into silence, when Jake stretches lazily into the sun. The universe holds its breath with them. These are moments when time itself feels content. And maybe that's the greatest secret of all. Time in Ooo does not seek to dominate life. It seeks to understand it. Each loop, each dream, each lifetime is a meditation, an exploration of how existence can feel. The world is constantly studying itself through its own creation. Every new form of love, every heartbreak, every reunion is another experiment in how gently the universe can hold its own story. This might be why the cosmic owl visits dreams not to dictate destiny, but to record feeling. When he appears, it's like the universe whispering, "I remember this." Each dream he visits becomes a note added to time's great symphony. Some are bright, some are mournful, but all are necessary. Together, they form the melody of being. And that melody, once you hear it, never really leaves you. It's the quiet hum you feel in your chest when you think about someone you miss. It's the soft tug of nostalgia when you see an old place bathed in twilight. It's the rhythm of life, echoing gently through the folds of Ooo, through every blade of grass and every drop of starlight. So when we look at time in Ooo, it's not a current sweeping us forward or backward. It's a spiral, always returning, always learning, always loving. Its laws are written not in numbers, but in feelings. Its physics are built from memory and forgiveness. And somewhere in that endless spiral between the beginning and whatever comes after the end, there's a still point, a quiet center, a heartbeat that never stops. Maybe that's where Prismo rests when he closes his eyes. Maybe that's where Finn's soul drifts when he sleeps. Or maybe it's where all stories go when they've done their part, when they've taught the universe something new about tenderness. Because that's what time really is in Ooo, a dream that keeps dreaming of itself, a loop, not of repetition, but of renewal. And as long as that dream continues, as long as someone remembers or hopes, or simply sits beneath the stars and listens, the living thread of time will keep weaving its soft, endless pattern across the fabric of existence. Dreams in Ooo are not just quiet wanderings of the mind. They are landscapes of their own living, breathing, and connected to the pulse of the universe itself. When the people of Ooo sleep, their thoughts don't stay locked inside their heads. They drift outward, floating into a vast, shimmering sea that touches every creature, every memory, every forgotten wish. It's a beautiful idea, isn't it? That when you dream, you are not alone. You're part of something much larger. A quiet communion between hearts and stars. In Ooo, dreams behave like another form of physics. They have structure and consequence. They can be entered, altered, and sometimes they even shape the waking world. We've seen this in the way the cosmic owl visits dreams, that soft, mysterious creature who flutters through the sleeping minds of both heroes and villains. His glowing eyes reflect possible futures, his wings stirring the air of the subconscious. But he doesn't command or dictate. He observes, recording the quiet equations of emotion that ripple beneath the surface of consciousness. When the cosmic owl appears, it's a reminder that dreams in Ooo aren't separate from reality. They are reality, just experienced through a different lens. They are another layer of the same fabric, folded softly over the waking world. And just like time, this layer has its own rhythm, its own gravity. Finn's dreams often reveal this connection. Sometimes they feel prophetic, other times deeply personal, but always they carry truth. The kind of truth that logic can't hold, the kind that only the sleeping heart understands. When he dreams of the comet, or of his other selves, or of those haunting, quiet places where memories whisper through fog, the dream isn't showing him something unreal. It's revealing what already exists, waiting to be seen. In the physics of Ooo, the mind is not confined to the brain. Thought itself has a kind of energy. It radiates, mingles, and sometimes even takes form. When characters share a dream, as Finn and Jake sometimes do, it's not magic that connects them. It's resonance. Their consciousnesses align, vibrating at the same quiet frequency, creating a shared world stitched from both of their imaginations. This explains why dreams in Ooo can be both deeply personal and strangely universal. A single sleeping thought can echo across the cosmos, brushing against another soul miles away. Maybe that's why so many beings seem linked through their sleep: Finn, Jake, Marceline, even the great cosmic entities. They're all part of one vast dream, a dream that never fully ends. And if the waking world is Oo's body, then the dreamscape is its soul. It's where the laws of physics become fluid, reshaping themselves to match emotion instead of logic. Gravity bends toward longing. Time folds in on itself to preserve a memory. Matter dissolves and reforms depending on desire. It's a place where intention is energy. That's why in dreams, lost things return, loved ones reappear. Broken things mend themselves. The dreamscape doesn't care about history or probability. It responds to feeling. It operates on empathy, not order. There's something almost sacred about that, a reminder that consciousness is the gentlest form of creation. When someone in Ooo dreams, they are creating small universes of their own, tender and fragile, built from memory and hope. Some dreams fade like candlelight, while others linger, imprinting themselves onto the waking world as inspiration, déjà vu, or prophecy. Even BMO dreams, and when they do, their mechanical mind doesn't restrict imagination. It expands it. Inside those digital dreams, BMO becomes alive in ways that blur the line between code and soul. It reminds us that the dreamscape of Ooo isn't limited by species or form. To dream in this world is to be connected to everything, the living, the lost, and even the unliving. The cosmic owl's presence within this grand web of dreams feels like gravity in the night sky, subtle, constant, pulling threads together without force. When he visits, he doesn't bring dreams. He simply acknowledges them, marking their importance in the cosmic pattern. Every dream he appears in is a small adjustment in the balance of the universe, a reminder that fate, even when it feels distant, listens closely to the heart. Sometimes, though, Dreams in Ooo are heavy shadowed by memory or fear. Marceline's dreams, for instance, often echo with songs from her past, with voices she can't forget. Those aren't nightmares. They're emotional physics at work, the universe allowing her to process the weight she carries. Dreams here aren't punishments. They're gentle recalibrations, a way for the soul to find equilibrium again. It's as if Oo's subconscious world acts as a kind of pressure valve, releasing emotion that reality can't yet bear. The more turbulent the feelings, the deeper the dreams. And when the dreamer wakes, something feels lighter, not gone, but transformed. That transformation is the key to understanding Oo's dream physics. It's not about escaping. It's about metabolizing emotion into peace. And so, when Finn wakes from a dream that feels more real than life itself, he's not simply returning to the waking world. He's bringing something back, a lesson, a shift, a quiet adjustment to his soul's balance. In Ooo, that's how the universe maintains harmony. Through dreams, it heals itself. Dreams in Ooo seem to serve as a gentle bridge between the seen and the unseen, the waking and the eternal. When you drift into sleep in this world, your consciousness doesn't vanish. It travels. It joins an invisible current that hums beneath the waking dimension, flowing softly through the minds of every creature, every tree, and every star that still remembers how to dream. Somewhere within that current, all thoughts begin to mingle, the quiet hopes of mortals brushing against the ancient musings of cosmic beings. It's a vast ocean, where imagination becomes geography. That's why in Ooo, when someone dreams, their inner world looks and feels so real. The dream isn't an illusion. It's an alternate expression of truth. You can almost sense this when Finn dreams of places he's never been, or speaks to beings long gone. His dreams aren't visions of another realm. They are interactions with the deeper layers of his own universe. Each dream reveals another truth about how Oo's reality is woven. It shows us that thought, feeling, and matter are not separate things. They are three notes of the same song. This is why the cosmic owl doesn't simply observe dreams, he listens to them. Each one contributes to the great harmonic balance that keeps Ooo alive. Every joyous dream adds warmth to the world, and every sorrowful dream deepens its gravity. Together, they keep the emotional physics of the universe in motion. Sometimes, though, those harmonies can become tangled. When too much fear or grief gathers, the dreamscape starts to darken. Shadows take shape not as evil entities, but as reflections of imbalance. The nightosphere, in some interpretations, might even be one such manifestation, a realm born from repressed chaos, from all the unprocessed energy that the dream world couldn't soothe. It's not hell exactly. It's the farthest corner of the collective dream, where the light of self-awareness struggles to reach. That's why Hunson Abadir, the ruler of that place, feels both familiar and alien. He isn't an intruder from outside reality. He's a reflection of it, the embodiment of unchecked emotion, of hunger without understanding. In this way, even the darkest corners of Oo's dream physics serve a purpose. They remind the universe of what happens when feeling loses harmony with thought. And then there are the rare few who can consciously travel the dreamscape. Finn, Amai, Marceline, and even the Ice King have each touched it knowingly at different points. They've glimpsed what lies beneath waking life, that shimmering layer of consciousness that connects every living being. When Finn meets versions of himself across dream realms, it isn't random. It's time, emotion, and identity overlapping in the same psychic field. It's also why Prismo, who exists between dreams and reality, feels so at home in that space. He's the embodiment of awareness itself, half asleep, half awake, existing in the moment between breaths. His very existence suggests that Oo's reality may have been born from such a moment, a cosmic dream that became self-aware, learned to love, and decided to keep dreaming. That idea that the universe itself might be dreaming fits perfectly within the physics of Ooo. Everything behaves as though it were part of one vast consciousness, expressing itself through form and story. When you look closely, you can see the signs, repeating patterns, mirrored fates, the same emotional lessons echoing through generations. It's as if Oo's dreamer keeps revisiting the same themes, refining them gently, trying to understand its own heart. Dreams here are more than visions. They are instruments of learning. They give shape to lessons that words could never explain. Through dream logic, Ooo teaches its inhabitants the things that waking minds resist: humility, forgiveness, release. It's through a dream that Finn faces himself, not as a hero, but as a child seeking peace. It's through dreams that the Ice King's madness reveals traces of Simon's soul, still reaching out for connection. Each dream, then, is like a small equation written into the air, an emotional formula balancing what the waking self cannot yet reconcile. It's how Ooo stays alive in both body and spirit. The dream world gathers what's heavy, processes it in silence, and returns it lighter, gentler, and changed. And when the dreamers wake, the world itself seems to shift a little. The skies look softer. The colors seem warmer. It's as if Ooo, too, has rested, because maybe it has. Maybe every creature's sleep gives the world a chance to heal itself, to remember who it is beneath all the noise. If we imagine Ooo as a living organism, then dreams are its heartbeat's steady, rhythmic pulses that keep consciousness flowing through its many worlds. Each sleeper contributes a unique rhythm to that pulse. Together, they sustain a kind of shared harmony, one that makes even the strangest corners of the land feel alive. From the silent caverns beneath the Candy Kingdom to the drifting islands above the clouds, everything in Ooo hums faintly with the residue of dreaming. You can feel it most vividly in places that hold memory: old ruins, forgotten castles, or melted technology from before the Mushroom War. They seem to hum with a kind of soft afterglow, as if their creators' thoughts still linger, dreaming on in the dust. It's not magic in the traditional sense. It's the physics of emotion, preserved in matter. Every object in Ooo seems to remember what it once meant to someone. That's why when Finn touches an artifact, sometimes it reacts. When Marceline sings to her old bass, its strings vibrate like a living being responding to a memory. Even the grass sword sleeping inside Finn's arm seems to possess its own will, its own dream of purpose. These aren't coincidences, they are echoes, reminders that consciousness in Ooo is not limited to the living. Everything dreams in its own way. The dreamscape is the quiet meeting place for all those echoes. Picture it like a vast ocean of mist, illuminated by countless small lights. Each light is a dreamer glowing, flickering, shifting color depending on emotion. Some lights shine brightly, full of joy or wonder. Others pulse dimly, weighed down by grief. And occasionally, two lights drift close enough to touch. That's when dream crossing occurs, when two beings share a vision, speak across the veil, or find one another in ways impossible in the waking world. Finn and Jake once wandered through such crossing, slipping between dreams as though walking from room to room in a great sleeping palace. Every door they opened led to someone's inner world: Princess Bubblegum's quiet worries, the Ice King's haunting loneliness, even a cow's simple dream of grass. Each one obeyed its own internal logic, yet they were all woven into the same tapestry. The deeper they went, the clearer it became that dreams in Ooo were not private illusions, but collective creations. This might explain why dreams have power here. Words spoken in dreams can reshape reality, just as wishes do in Prismo's time chamber. The difference is intent. Dreams are powered not by force, but by surrender, by the softness of belief, the acceptance of what is. In that stillness, imagination becomes law, and for a moment physics bends to feeling. Think of the cosmic owl again, visiting those who dream on the edge of transformation. His presence doesn't cause change, it confirms it. When he appears, it means a soul is aligning with its truth, ready to awaken to a new phase of existence. In that sense, he is less an omen of fate and more a messenger of balance, a reminder that even endings are simply awakenings on another level. There's something deeply poetic in that idea that the act of dreaming sustains both body and world. When the last sleeper finally wakes, the universe might end, not with destruction, but with silence, the silence of the dream finally complete. Perhaps that's what the cosmic owl listens for, the final note of a dream that has run its course. Even waking moments seem to mirror the dream's logic in Ooo. Physics behaves gently here, bending when hearts do. Time stretches when someone grieves. Distance shrinks when someone loves. This soft reality isn't inconsistent. It's responsive. It moves with emotion, as though feelings are a fundamental force of the world, like gravity or light. And that might be why Ooo feels so alive, even when it's empty. The air holds stories. The ground remembers footsteps. Every ripple in a pond reflects not just the sky, but the mood of whoever gazes into it. There is no clear line between what's real and what's felt. Everything is a continuation of thought. So when Finn dreams of distant futures or alternate lives, perhaps he isn't escaping his world. He's exploring another layer of it. Each dream reveals a truth about what Ooo could be, what it once was, or what it might yet become. In that way, dreams are like rehearsals for reality, testing new shapes of being before they take form in the waking world. And maybe that's why the universe allows it, because in dreams, creation can experiment safely. There is no judgment, no permanence, only play. The dreamscape becomes a cosmic workshop where ideas stretch, overlap, and dissolve, waiting for their moment to enter the light of day. When dawn comes to Ooo and dreamers stir, they bring fragments of that other world back with them, a color, a feeling, a quiet understanding. Those small remnants weave into the waking realm, subtly altering it. A song might sound different. A forest might glow a little warmer. A friendship might heal. And just like that, the physics of dreams continues its gentle work, reshaping Ooo with every night's sleep, one dream at a time. In this way, Oo's nights are as alive as its days, perhaps even more so. The world seems to breathe differently after sunset, as if the stars themselves are listening to the dreams below. The moonlight, faint and silvery, acts almost like a conductor's wand, guiding every dream into motion. Beneath that quiet glow, even the smallest beings, a snail, a blade of grass, a forgotten machine hums softly in their own kind of sleep. Their dreams may not take form as visions, but as vibrations, subtle shifts in the great harmony that keeps the world turning. This is why so many magical events in Ooo happen under moonlight or at the edge of dreaming. When reality relaxes, it becomes permeable. The boundaries between the physical and the imagined dissolve, letting energy flow more freely between the two. The dreamscape in those moments presses gently against the waking world like the tide brushing the shore. Strange things happen then. Forgotten spirits whisper, enchanted objects stir, and memories long buried drift to the surface. Some of the most mystical moments in Adventure Time occur in this twilight overlap. When Finn meets his alternate selves, or when Marceline confronts her own past, these experiences don't feel like ordinary dreams. They feel like thin places intersections where consciousness folds in on itself, where time and self are momentarily weightless. It's tempting to think of dreams as the opposite of reality, but in Ooo, they're more like reflections, curved mirrors that show us the same world, only seen from within. Every dreamer contributes a small reflection, and together they form something like a cosmic mosaic. This collective dreaming might even be the source of Oo's shifting landscapes and unpredictable magic. When enough beings share a deep emotional resonance, joy, grief, or longing, reality responds, rearranging itself to express that emotion in physical form. You can see traces of this everywhere. The Candy Kingdom's warmth reflects Princess Bubblegum's meticulous, nurturing mind. The Ice Kingdom's frozen spires mirror the isolation of its lonely ruler. The Nightosphere is the dream of chaos itself, a living manifestation of hunger, fear, and mischief. Each realm within Ooo could be seen as an extension of a greater dreamer's psyche, crystallized into geography. And that's why, perhaps, every hero's journey in this world feels deeply personal. When Finn or Marceline faces their inner turmoil, the world around them seems to react. Skies darken, rivers glow, mountains hum. These are not coincidences of weather or whimsy. They are the dream physics of Ooo, responding to emotion as though it were gravity. The stronger the feeling, the greater the pull. Even the passage of time within dreams reflects this emotional gravity. A single moment of fear can stretch into an eternity, while a night of peace can pass in a heartbeat. That elasticity mirrors the deeper mechanics of Ooo itself, a realm where time does not move linearly, but fluidly, shaped by meaning rather than measurement. Dreams, in their quiet way, remind every soul of this truth. Reality is not something that happens to you. It's something you are continuously creating, whether awake or asleep. And so when a character awakens from a dream, they often carry new understanding, not just of themselves, but of their world. That awakening subtly rewrites Ooo. It's as though the dream has rippled outward, leaving gentle fingerprints on existence. This may be why the universe never seems fixed. There's always room for new magic, new rules, new forms of life. The dream never ends. It simply shifts shape. In the soft hours before dawn, when the last remnants of sleep still linger in the air, Ooo feels its most fragile and most whole. The creatures stir, their minds returning slowly from the shared ocean of dreams. The colors of the land brighten, as if reality itself is stretching awake. Somewhere in that moment between worlds, the cosmic owl blinks once more, satisfied that the balance holds for another day. And maybe that's the real secret of Oo's physics, that its strength doesn't come from rigid laws or mechanical systems, but from the delicate balance between imagination and memory, between emotion and form. Dreams keep that balance alive. They recycle sorrow into wisdom, loneliness into connection, and chaos into creation. When you think about it, that's what dreaming has always been: the universe reminding itself to rest, to listen, and to keep imagining. Ooo just shows us that more clearly than most worlds do. Its physics are built not from equations, but from feelings, the quiet forces that move stars, rivers, and hearts alike. And so, as night deepens across that enchanted land, the dreamers settle once more into the rhythm of sleep. Their thoughts begin to shimmer, drifting upward like lanterns. The world hums gently beneath them, alive with memory and wonder. And somewhere beyond the clouds and constellations, the great dream continues, slow, endless, and kind-breathing life into Ooo with every sigh of slumber. Hey there again, sleepyheads. I hope you're still tucked in comfortably, lights low, and mind open. Tonight we drift deeper past the dreamscapes and flowing rivers of thought into something older, quieter, and stranger. In this part of our journey, we'll be exploring magic not as a trick or a spell, but as a fundamental force of the Land of Ooo. Magic in the world of Adventure Time isn't something that exists apart from nature. It is nature. It hums beneath the soil, ripples through light, and sleeps within the atoms of candy and crystal alike. Every creature, every piece of the landscape, every shifting shadow carries a faint trace of it. It's as if the entire universe of Ooo was painted with a brush dipped in wonder. When we talk about physics, we usually think of rules, gravity, time, matter, and energy. But in Ooo, those rules feel more like habits. They are flexible, responsive, emotional, and magic is what allows that flexibility to exist. It's the connective tissue that lets imagination influence reality. Where we might expect equations, Ooo gives us intuition, and somehow it works. To understand how magic fits into the physics of Ooo, we have to look back, far back, to the time before the Mushroom War, when science reigned supreme. Machines and formulas governed the world then. But something changed when humanity fell. The boundaries between logic and spirit began to erode, and out of that collapse, magic seeped back in. Some say it had always been there, waiting beneath the surface like groundwater beneath dry land. When the machines stopped humming, the magic began to breathe again. This transition wasn't sudden or violent. It was slow and organic, as if the world itself were remembering something it had forgotten. The radioactive remnants of the old age didn't just destroy, they transformed. Matter became fluid, thought gained mass, and emotion started shaping form. The familiar laws of physics loosened their grip, allowing ancient, softer ones to return. You can feel this duality all throughout Ooo and Princess Bubblegum's scientific creations, which somehow hold life and emotion. In Ice King's crown, which fuses mystical power with ancient technology, and in the countless relics scattered across the land that hum faintly between science and sorcery. The two are not opposites here. They are partners, two sides of the same coin, the measurable and the miraculous coexisting in delicate balance. Magic in Ooo behaves like a field, a gentle, invisible current that can be tapped into by those attuned to it. Some beings are naturally in harmony with it, like Peppermint Butler or the elementals. Others learn to channel it through practice or devotion. But even those who don't consciously use it still live within its flow, the way we live within gravity. It shapes the tides of emotion, the rhythm of growth, the ebb and flow of energy. It's this quality that makes magic feel alive, almost conscious. It responds to intention, to need, to story. When someone believes strongly enough, the universe seems to listen. That's not defiance of physics. It's an extension of them. Magic is the language through which Ooo communicates with itself. It's the breath of creation made visible. Perhaps that's why so many magical beings in Adventure Time feel both powerful and fragile. Their strength depends not only on knowledge, but on harmony with the world's deeper rhythms. The ancient psychic tandem, War Elephant, for example, is a creature of immense magical potential, yet it only acts when guided by a purpose aligned with cosmic balance. Magic does not obey power, it obeys truth. And yet, even truth in Ooo isn't rigid. It changes as hearts do. That's why spells fail when cast with selfish intent, and why love, grief, or forgiveness can alter reality in ways no incantation could. Magic here is not about dominance over nature. It's about communion with it, an act of listening as much as speaking. You can sense this in the way characters like Simon and Betty interact with it. Betty's desperate plunge into madness and time, driven by her love for Simon, reveals magic's most dangerous property, its responsiveness to emotion. When channeled through obsession or fear, it warps. It bends not only the world, but the mind that wields it. Magic, after all, magnifies what's within. It does not discriminate between creation and destruction. It only amplifies intent. So in the soft physics of Ooo, magic isn't a supernatural force layered atop reality. It's the emotional core of existence itself, the unseen melody that keeps everything dancing in rhythm, the pulse that binds dream to matter and thought to form. Every spark, every ripple, every miracle in Ooo can be traced back to that single truth: the world is alive, and it listens. When you really look at Ooo, you start to realize that magic is not a rare occurrence. It's the quiet foundation of everything that moves, breathes, or simply is. It doesn't always appear as a glowing aura or a spell being cast. Sometimes it hides in ordinary beauty. The way a flower opens at dawn, or the way fireflies gather around a campfire, might be the smallest visible gestures of the same energy that powers cosmic beings. You see, in this world, magic has a spectrum. On one end, it's subtle and domestic, like the magic that keeps the Candy Kingdom's inhabitants sweetly alive. On the other, it's vast and incomprehensible, governing entities that predate time itself. The beauty of Oo's physics is that both extremes exist in the same continuum. A wizard's spell and a bird's song are made of the same gentle current, only expressed differently. When we meet characters like Peppermint Butler, we see this relationship up close. He's not simply performing dark arts for the sake of power. He's maintaining harmony between unseen worlds. His rituals, though eerie, are like scientific experiments in the language of emotion and intent. He studies cause and effect, just as a physicist would, but through symbols, vibrations, and willpower instead of equations. That's because in Ooo, belief carries mass. Thought itself is an energy that can ripple outward, rearranging reality. This might be why ancient artifacts hold such strange power. Objects in Ooo often absorb the emotions of those who use them. The ice crown, the Enchiridion, the night sword. They are all reservoirs of condensed will, crystallized over time. When someone touches these items, they aren't just holding matter. They're making contact with an accumulation of dreams, fears, and choices. The object remembers. It responds. If you think about it, that's a kind of physics, too. The transference of energy, but on a spiritual level. Just as light leaves an imprint when it touches a surface, emotion leaves an echo when it touches the fabric of Ooo. These echoes never vanish. They linger, shaping the probability of future events. A place that has known great love might bloom brighter, while a place that has witnessed despair might twist into darker forms. This also explains why magic can't be completely studied or controlled. It resists measurement because it thrives on variability, on the unknown. To quantify it would be to still its motion, and in doing so, kill its essence. Magic, like emotion or music, must be experienced to be understood. It's an act of trust between the universe and the observer. Even the most rational characters in Adventure Time eventually come to accept this. Princess Bubblegum, for all her brilliance in science, learns that logic alone cannot sustain her world. The Candy Kingdom thrives not just on structure, but on care, on belief, on shared sweetness. In her own way, she channels magic through leadership, not spell work. Her rule is a reminder that creation requires both reason and wonder. And then there's Marceline, whose magic comes not from study or inheritance, but from emotion. Her songs bend reality because they come from a place deeper than intellect. When she sings, the world listens, not because of spellcraft, but because her feelings resonate with the world's own pulse. She doesn't command magic. She harmonizes with it. The same is true for Finn. His adventures show us that heroism in Ooo isn't powered by brute strength or destiny, but by alignment, with purpose, compassion, and curiosity. Magic seems to gather around him, not because he's chosen, but because he's open. His wonder allows the world to express itself more fully. In him, we see that the physics of Ooo favors not power, but presence. Maybe that's the secret thread running through all of this. Magic flows where awareness blooms. The more a being understands themselves and the world around them, the more naturally the magic moves through them. That's why true mastery in Ooo isn't about incantations or relics. It's about stillness, the ability to listen, to feel, to act with intention. And so when you think of magic as a fundamental force, it's less about breaking the rules of physics and more about revealing their hidden tenderness. In Ooo, the universe doesn't separate science from spirit. It lets them dance together endlessly in a slow and luminous waltz. If you could see Ooo through the eyes of its magic, you might find that everything glows faintly, not with light, but with intention. The mountains, the rivers, the tiny seeds sleeping in the soil, all of them shimmer with purpose, even if that purpose is simple: to exist, to feel the wind, to grow. Magic, in this sense, isn't a force to be wielded, but a conversation constantly taking place between the world and itself. And the more conscious a being becomes, the more fluently they can speak that language. Wizards, elementals, even beings like death or life, they are not rulers of magic. They are its interpreters. Each one perceives the underlying field differently, tuning into it like a musician to a melody. What Peppermint Butler sees as necromancy, the Flame Princess might feel as heat and motion. What Simon calls a curse, Marceline might understand as grief transformed into permanence. That's why magic in Ooo rarely behaves the same way twice. It responds to who's watching, to what they need, what they believe, and what they're ready to learn. It's deeply personal and deeply unpredictable. Sometimes it heals. Sometimes it breaks. Sometimes it simply waits, quiet and invisible, until someone kind enough or broken enough crosses its path. If you think about the elemental system that underpins Ooo ice, fire, candy, and slime, you can see how this philosophy plays out in its structure. These aren't just physical elements, but emotional archetypes. Ice embodies isolation and stillness. Fire burns with passion and transformation. Candy represents care, connection, and the sweetness of unity. And slime, ever fluid and unbound, mirrors adaptability, the will to keep moving, no matter what. Together, these forces make up the emotional foundation of Ooo. They're the fundamental constants of its universe, equivalent to our own laws of thermodynamics or electromagnetism. Only here, those laws are not mechanical, they're emotional. The balance of Oo's reality depends on these forces remaining in harmony. When one overwhelms the others, the world shifts to reflect that imbalance. Ice ages descend when isolation spreads. Empires crumble when desire burns too brightly. Life blooms again when compassion returns. It's a beautifully cyclical system, one that doesn't punish imbalance, but transforms it. Because in Ooo, even chaos serves a purpose. It's the spark that invites growth, the tension that leads to resolution. Magic allows the world to express this balance dynamically, as if the universe itself were practicing mindfulness. Every rise and fall, every storm and calm, becomes part of its breathing. That's why beings like the elementals or the lich feel so powerful. They represent concentrated expressions of those natural forces. The lich, for example, isn't evil in a moral sense. He's entropy, the decay of meaning, the gravitational pull of stillness at the end of all cycles. His presence feels terrifying because it reminds every living thing of its impermanence. Yet without him, the renewal that follows would have no beginning. In Oo's physics, even destruction is sacred, because it makes space for creation to return. The same principle applies to the elementals. Each embodies a fundamental truth about existence, but none can survive without the others. When they clash, Ooo trembles. When they rest, the world breathes. Magic is the equilibrium that keeps them intertwined, the soft, unseen rhythm that reminds them they are not enemies, but siblings in the same family of being. When Princess Bubblegum reawakens the candy elemental within herself, she becomes more than a ruler. She becomes a node in the magical network that sustains Ooo. Her thoughts, fears, and joys ripple through the fabric of reality, influencing the very stability of her world. That's the secret burden of magical power in this land. It's never truly yours. You share it with everything that exists. And maybe that's the reason so many of Oo's greatest beings eventually grow quiet, even lonely. The more you understand magic, the more you realize it isn't a ladder to climb, but a circle to sit within. The wizards in their towers, the ancient kings, even the elemental gods, all of them eventually come to the same soft truth. You cannot control the current. You can only float with it. In that realization, there's peace. A wizard might stop casting. A princess might stop building. A hero might lay down his sword. And yet, in those still moments, magic flows most freely, not through force, but through surrender. The more you let go, the more the universe responds. It's as though the very act of release completes the circuit, allowing energy to return home to the source. That is the quiet beauty of Oo's magical physics. It rewards softness. The gentler the touch, the stronger the response, the more loving the intent, the more radiant the effect. It's a system built not on dominance, but on resonance. Magic, after all, is just love written in the language of energy, invisible, eternal, and always listening. If you were to stand somewhere high in Ooo, perhaps on a mountain peak, beneath the pale shimmer of distant stars, and close your eyes, you might almost feel that great current of magic flowing beneath the land. It hums faintly, like wind moving through 1,000 unseen strings. Every hill, every ocean wave, every sleeping creature is part of the same slow symphony. It's not loud or showy, but calm, persistent, and full of life. This is the heartbeat of the world, the rhythm that everything in Ooo moves to, whether it knows it or not. For those who can sense it, this current feels like warmth that isn't quite heat, or sound that isn't quite music. It's what ties the smallest seed to the farthest star, what lets memories live on after the body fades. And for those who learn to listen, the mages, the dreamers, the quietly curious, it offers answers that can't be spoken aloud. This is why ancient magical beings often speak in riddles. They aren't being mysterious for the sake of drama. They're translating sensations into words. Magic doesn't communicate through logic. It moves through emotion, image, and rhythm. To speak it fluently is to think in feelings, to understand that sorrow can be a kind of light, and joy a form of gravity. That's the true physics of Ooo. Every emotion has mass, and every intention leaves a ripple in reality's field. Even the simplest creatures play their part. The trees sway to balance the air, absorbing the emotions of those who walk beneath them. The rivers carry away not just silt and stone, but echoes of thought. The stars shimmer more brightly when the world below is at peace. Every layer of existence participates in this exchange, a web of empathy so vast that even silence becomes sacred within it. And when that balance is disturbed, Oo's magic shifts to restore it, sometimes gently, sometimes with great storms or strange transformations. These events aren't punishments, but recalibrations, the universe remembering how to breathe evenly again. When magic surges or withdraws, it's a sign that the world is tending to itself, healing unseen wounds. This is what makes Ooo feel so alive, not just inhabited, but aware. The world doesn't merely contain life, it behaves as life. Every spell, every miracle, every fleeting bit of luck is a reminder that consciousness is woven into the foundation of matter. To live in Ooo is to exist in dialogue with that awareness, whether you know it or not. Characters like the Ice King, for instance, become tragic examples of what happens when that dialogue is interrupted. His crown connects him to immense magical forces, but through distortion, the current that once flowed naturally through him now loops endlessly, feeding on his pain. He's not evil or broken by choice. He's misaligned. His story shows that when magic's balance is lost, even the kindest soul can be trapped in its echo. But balance can be found again. When Simon briefly regains himself, when he remembers love, the magic softens. It listens. The universe bends slightly closer, like a friend leaning in to hear. Because that's all it's ever wanted. Not obedience, not worship, but connection. Magic at its heart is the physics of empathy. It's the same principle that gives rise to so many wonders across the land, the talking objects, the living candy, the sentient clouds. Each is a reminder that in Ooo, life is not granted but shared. To create something is to share your awareness with it. Every invention, every song, every act of care becomes a small act of animation. When bubblegum builds a new life form, it awakens because she believes it should. Her intent transfers into it, setting it gently spinning in the web of existence. Even the cosmos beyond Ooo seems to follow this law. Stars, gods, and dream entities all echo the same rhythm, energy shaped by meaning. Whether it's Prismo bending time through thought, or the cosmic owl weaving dreams into fate, each being reflects the same truth that the boundary between magic and consciousness is almost non-existent. They are the same current, expressed at different scales. And so, when night settles once more over Ooo, the magic doesn't sleep. It continues its slow, unseen work, binding, balancing, breathing. The air hums with quiet purpose. The rivers glow faintly under starlight. Somewhere a forgotten relic stirs, remembering the touch of an old hand. And far above, the stars shine down like gentle eyes, watching over a world that is still, in every way, awake. This is the quiet secret of Oo's existence. Its physics are not cold or mechanical, but compassionate. The laws that govern it are written not in numbers, but in feelings. Joy, grief, hope, and love. These are the true constants of reality. Everything else, even time and matter, simply adjusts around them. So, as we drift to rest tonight, imagine that soft hum, the heartbeat of magic that never stops. Feel it in your chest, in the air, in the quiet ticking of your own thoughts. In Ooo, and perhaps in our world too, that same current runs through everything unseen, unending, and kind. The fundamental force that binds it all together, whispering gently through the dark, you are part of the magic, and the magic is part of you. If you're still with me under the soft glow of your nightlight, take a deep breath. Feel the quiet weight of the blankets around you, the stillness of the room. Tonight we drift a little higher beyond Oo's mountains, past its shimmering clouds, into the strange and endless ocean that exists beyond time itself. This is where we begin to see the hidden architecture of everything what some in Ooo might call the multiversal currents, the invisible design that connects not just one world, but countless versions of it. A place where Finn is still human in one reality, where another version of him might be something else, entirely a spirit, a memory, or even a story whispered by another dreamer. The physics of this vast space aren't written in equations or fixed dimensions. They're fluid, like light through water, rippling with intent and emotion. Each universe drifts on its own current, shaped by choices, love, and consequence. Together they form an immense sea of existence, what the cosmic entities sometimes refer to as the time room's reflection, where all possibilities coexist, each echoing faintly against the others. At the heart of this sea sits Prismo's chamber, that warm, glowing room where time folds in on itself like a soft blanket. Prismo isn't just a dream creature or a wish granter. He is an anchor point in the multiversal current, keeping realities aligned, ensuring they don't drift too far apart. His body, always resting peacefully on that couch, radiates an energy that hums in perfect balance between waking and dreaming. He exists in a state of gentle paradox, both alive and not, both asleep and aware. When Finn and Jake visit him, they unknowingly step into a place beyond physics, a pocket of reality that doesn't obey the rules of mass or motion. Time doesn't pass there in the way we understand it. Instead, it flows like sound, like a song played in infinite directions at once. That's why Prismo can grant wishes that bend reality itself. He's not manipulating energy, but rearranging the storylines that hold universes together. The moment Finn makes a wish, he isn't altering the world directly. He's creating a branch, a new current in the sea of existence. Each wish becomes its own reality, complete and whole, spinning quietly in the great expanse. That's how the multiverse breathes through countless moments of intention. Every act of choice creates ripples, and those ripples, in turn, form new worlds. Even the gods and cosmic entities can't fully control these currents. They can guide them, whisper to them, or occasionally weave them together, but no one truly commands the multiverse. It's more like a living tapestry, constantly in motion, guided by balance rather than authority. That's why beings like Golb exist as natural forces of entropy, keeping creation from becoming too rigid, too static. Golb's presence is the multiverse, remembering that nothing can last forever, not even perfection. But here's the gentle wonder of it all. Even destruction feeds creation. When a reality collapses, its energy doesn't vanish. It dissolves into the current, becoming part of the flow that births something new elsewhere. The multiverse, in this way, is an act of endless recycling and eternal breath, in and out, forming and reforming what we might call existence. Sometimes these breaths overlap, and we catch glimpses of them within Adventure Time's stories. The farm world, the pillow world, the alternate versions of Finn. Each of these realities isn't a separate dream, but another tide in that great sea. When Finn drifts into those worlds, it isn't through a portal in space, but through resonance. His consciousness aligns with a different frequency of himself. He doesn't travel outward, he shifts inward to another note in the same cosmic chord. It's this principle that explains so much of Oo's quiet strangeness, why dreams feel real, why lost things sometimes return in new forms, and why even death doesn't seem entirely final. Every being is a thread in the multiversal weave, and when one thread ends, its color continues elsewhere. Princess Bubblegum's intelligence, for instance, might echo as a spark of inspiration in another realm. Marceline's eternal soul could hum faintly across countless dimensions, each version remembering a different love, a different melody. The multiverse doesn't separate stories. It keeps them in conversation. Each world hums in harmony with the others, creating a great cosmic orchestra where every choice adds a new note. When something extraordinary happens in Ooo, a surge of magic, a distortion in time, it sends a vibration through the entire structure. That's why the entities who dwell beyond time often pay close attention to what happens in that small, colorful world. Ooo, in its strange balance of decay and renewal, becomes a kind of tuning fork for the whole multiverse. And so, as we float here in thought, somewhere between one universe and the next, it's worth pausing to feel the softness of that design. Nothing here is random. Every chaos has purpose. Every loss carries a whisper of rebirth. The multiverse, just like the magic of Ooo, is not an accident of physics. It's a story told endlessly, by countless narrators, all dreaming of one another in gentle succession. The next time you think of Finn gazing at the stars, imagine that he's not just looking up. He's looking across the layers of existence, each star a reflection of another life, another self, burning quietly into the distance. And perhaps, as we lie here now, we too are being watched by another version of ourselves, somewhere beyond the veil, wondering about us just the same. When we think about the multiverse of Adventure Time, it's tempting to imagine it like a tree, one sturdy trunk, branching into endless possibilities. But in truth, it's gentler, more fluid than that. It's not made of lines and divisions, but of ripples and echoes. Each world isn't a separate branch, but a reflection upon a reflection, like 1,000 puddles under rain, shimmering with each other's light. Prismo, who exists between those reflections, once hinted that time and existence are less like a straight road and more like a record spinning on a turntable. Each groove is a timeline, carrying its own music. Every choice, every emotion, every memory presses lightly into that record's surface, shaping the melody that reality plays. And somewhere, in the infinite hum of that cosmic song, every version of you, of Finn, of Jake, of all who have ever lived, exists as a note in harmony. This is why the rules of cause and effect in Ooo sometimes seem to bend or break. When Finn dreams of another world or when universes overlap, it isn't because of some accident or malfunction in physics. It's the record skipping slightly, catching another groove for a moment, the melody flickering, revealing another verse before returning to its familiar tune. To those within the story, it might feel like déjà vu or destiny. To those beyond, it's simply the natural breath of a living cosmos. But even in a sea of infinite possibility, there are patterns, soft designs that repeat across realities. Love, friendship, sacrifice. These constants appear again and again, no matter how the story changes. The details may shift, the faces may alter, but the emotional gravity remains the same. It's as if the multiverse prefers certain chords, certain combinations of meaning. These recurring shapes are what cosmic beings like the Time Room or the Catalyst Comet use to stabilize existence. They're not enforcing rules, but ensuring that harmony is never lost completely. The Catalyst Comet, in particular, serves as a kind of cosmic punctuation mark, an event that resets, renews, or redirects the narrative flow of the multiverse. Each time it falls, it carries within it a spark of pure creation. That spark often bonds with a mortal soul, weaving destiny into the story. In Finn's world, that spark found him, giving his timeline its unique resonance, a melody of courage, compassion, and impermanence. Without such catalysts, timelines would drift into silence, losing the rhythm that gives them meaning. Golb, in contrast, is the other side of this balance, the great unweaver, the dissolver of patterns. He represents the entropy between harmonies, the pauses between songs. But he is not evil, not truly. His existence ensures that the multiverse can shed its old forms and make space for new ones. Even when Golb devours or corrupts, he's returning energy to its base form, like pruning a garden to let it grow again. It's a process, both terrifying and sacred, misunderstood by most who encounter it. And yet, even Golb is not beyond empathy. In Adventure Time's final moments, when compassion touches him through song, his chaos softens. The melody returns. This suggests that even at the farthest edge of existence, where order dissolves and form breaks down, the language of emotion still holds power. That's the quiet truth of Oo's multiverse. The smallest act of kindness ripples farther than any force of destruction ever could. When Prismo speaks of wishes, he's really talking about resonance. A wish is not a command to reality, but a vibration offered to it, a melody that the universe may choose to echo. The stronger the emotion behind it, the further it travels across the multiverse. That's why Finn's wishes have such reach. His intent is pure, his heart aligned with the core rhythm of creation. Even when his wishes create unintended worlds, they are still songs sung in harmony with the cosmos. Imagine it like this. Every universe is a bubble floating in a vast ocean of light. When one bubble trembles, its ripples touch the others, sharing whispers of its story. Sometimes those ripples strengthen each other, aligning their patterns into waves of synchronicity. Other times they cancel, fading quietly back into stillness. Yet the ocean remains whole, undisturbed, eternal, dreaming all dreams at once. Ooo is one such bubble, fragile yet radiant, filled with the echoes of past ages and the promise of future lives. Its reality is porous, allowing dreams, spirits, and alternate selves to flow freely through its boundaries. This permeability is what makes Ooo so rich with wonder, and also why it draws the gaze of entities beyond comprehension. The world seems small, but its resonance is vast, touching corners of the multiverse that even gods rarely perceive. And if you listen closely, perhaps, even now as you lie in bed, you might hear the faint hum of that resonance. The same gentle vibration that binds every world, every being, every story. The hum of existence itself singing softly to you through the quiet. It's the lullaby of the multiverse, the rhythm that never stops, the song that every soul eventually learns to remember. And so, as we float further along these currents, it becomes clear that Ooo is not merely a stage for adventure, but a nexus within a vast web of existence. Every choice made by Finn or Marceline, every minor victory or heartbreak, sends ripples outward, brushing the edges of realities that may never intersect in a way we can easily perceive. Yet even the unseen currents matter. Every whisper of kindness, every act of bravery, leaves its trace across the multiverse, however faint, however distant. Think about Finn's encounters with alternate versions of himself, the farm world Finn, the younger versions glimpsed in dreams, even hypothetical Finns that never truly existed. They are not accidents. They are the natural expression of the multiverse's elasticity. Consciousness, intention, and emotion all radiate outward, creating possibilities that spin into tangible worlds. Each alternate self is a reflection, a resonance of choice, vibrating alongside the main timeline in harmony, or sometimes in tension. The same principle applies to cosmic beings who observe or influence Ooo. The cosmic owl, for instance, does not force outcomes. He witnesses resonance. He enters dreams to see how threads of causality weave together. He reminds us that the multiverse, for all its chaos, is not without pattern. Every event, however small, has a counterpart or ripple that, in some corner of existence, carries a note of recognition or closure. Prismo, the master of the time room, reveals another layer of this cosmic design. Time, as experienced in Ooo, is not linear but fluid, and the multiverse reflects this. Each universe contains countless moments of potential, and Prismo's role is to help align them gently, ensuring that resonance persists across branches without catastrophic collision. Wishes are more than magical requests. They are threads of possibility, gently tugging the fabric of reality in directions already shaped by intent and alignment. Even the Lich, a force of pure entropy, exists in this architecture not as a flaw but as a necessary tension. He is the counterpoint to creation, the shadow that ensures the light is meaningful. By existing as a potential of ultimate dissolution, he sharpens the resonance of life, courage, and compassion in Ooo. The multiverse thrives on these contrasts without opposing forces. Without entropy, the melody of existence would be flat, unremarkable, static. And yet the multiverse is not merely mechanical. Its design is responsive. It bends around emotion, intuition, and choice. Marceline's music, for instance, is capable of stirring currents far beyond her immediate perception. The feelings she pours into a song resonate through universes, shaping possibilities and echoing across reality like soft vibrations in a pond. Music, dreams, intention, these are the hidden physics that guide multiversal flow. We can see this in events where worlds intersect. The appearance of alternate fins, the merging of realities during cosmic catastrophes, or even subtle echoes in dreams all hint at a living network of interconnected universes. These overlaps are not accidents, but natural consequences of the currents flowing unseen beneath Ooo. A being in one world can, through thought, emotion, or action, affect another, and sometimes those effects amplify each other, creating new possibilities. Perhaps that is why entities like Galb exist at all. He embodies the necessary chaos, the pull of entropy that prevents the multiverse from becoming stagnant. Without him, currents would stagnate, realities would calcify, and the song of existence would falter. Yet even his presence is tempered by resonance. The multiverse listens, even to destruction. Acts of compassion or understanding can bend his chaotic pull, revealing that no force, however extreme, is beyond the influence of connection. The multiverse is, in this sense, a conversation ongoing, gentle, and infinite. Every soul, every choice, and every dream contributes a verse. The interactions between beings and the harmonies of magic and the flow of emotion through Ooo all participate in a quiet symphony, one that plays on long after individual stories end. Even Finn's smallest acts of courage ripple outward, strengthening threads across worlds, aligning them in ways that can only be seen when stepping back to the grand cosmic perspective. And it is here, in this understanding, that the true beauty of Oo's multiversal design emerges. It is not a clockwork of inevitability, nor a system of rigid control. It is a living, breathing mosaic, where every decision has weight, every emotion has gravity, and every being contributes to the ongoing dance of existence. Harmony is maintained not by authority, but by interaction, not by law, but by resonance. So when night falls over Ooo, and you imagine Finn staring up at the stars, remember that each star is not merely a distant sun. Each star is a reflection, a note, a point of resonance in an infinite expanse of possibility. Each choice he has made, each step he has taken, has shifted currents far beyond what he could ever perceive. And somewhere, in those distant corners of the multiverse, alternate realities hum softly with recognition, carrying the echoes of a small, brave human boy who dared to follow his heart. The multiverse of Ooo is vast, but it is not unknowable. It is gentle. It is responsive. It is patient. And in its currents, flowing silently beneath worlds, time, and dreams, lies a comforting truth. Every being matters, every action resonates, and the story of existence is not imposed upon the world. It is co-created by every soul, every dream, every heartbeat. And yet, even as we trace these currents through the multiverse, there is a softness to their motion, a subtle grace that often goes unnoticed. The flows are not chaotic in the way we imagine storms or collisions. They are more like gentle tides, ebbing and rising, folding realities into one another without violence. They carry the quiet patience of an ocean, allowing worlds to exist side by side, sometimes brushing against each other, sometimes drifting apart, always moving in ways that preserve the balance of the whole. This delicate architecture is why moments of convergence feel so profound. When Finn encounters alternate versions of himself, or when characters from different realities brush against one another, it is not chance, it is the multiverse's way of singing a chord. These meetings are the resonance made visible, a reminder that all things are connected in a subtle harmony, even across unimaginable distances. The threads of existence are not rigid. They are pliable, responsive, bending to the rhythm of emotion, intention, and consciousness. We begin to see, then, that Ooo is not an isolated bubble, but a nexus point, a place where multiversal currents gather, twist, and flow outward again. The events here, while sometimes seemingly small or local, radiate outward, influencing possibilities across countless realities. When Finn and Jake explore a dungeon, confront a villain, or make a simple choice born of curiosity or compassion, they are not just shaping their own story. They are sending ripples through a living network of potential, subtly aligning threads that connect worlds we can scarcely imagine. Even the concept of fate in Ooo takes on a new dimension in this context. It is not a rigid line drawn in advance, but a soft pattern emerging from the interplay of countless influences. Choices, emotions, and resonance create a tapestry that suggests inevitability, but only in hindsight. The multiverse responds, bending gently to the intentions of those who act with awareness. And in those rare moments when events collide, when multiple realities align in unexpected ways, the result is something beautiful and profound, a fleeting glimpse of the cosmic design that underlies all things. The cosmic entities, who exist outside the normal flow of time, are aware of these patterns. The cosmic owl, Prismo, and others observe, guide, and occasionally intervene, but never to dominate. They are custodians rather than rulers. They watch the ebb and flow, ensuring that the currents remain harmonious, but they understand that the multiverse is not theirs to control. Their interventions are like a gentle nudge, a whisper that helps maintain resonance without suppressing the natural motion of the world they oversee. This interplay between guidance and autonomy is at the heart of Oo's multiversal design. Beings within each reality have the freedom to act, to create, to dream. Their actions generate vibrations that echo outward, shaping probability, possibility, and even the flow of time itself. Yet they are never entirely alone. The currents ensure that nothing exists in isolation. Every action, every emotion, every choice finds its reflection elsewhere, connecting all worlds in a subtle, continuous dialogue. Even the most destructive forces serve this design. Galb, as we have touched upon, represents entropy, the unweaving of form, the dissolution of matter and meaning. But even in Galb's presence, the currents continue. Destruction is not the end, but a transformation, feeding the multiverse's vast energy into new potential. It is a reminder that balance in Ooo and across its multiversal currents does not require stasis. Growth, decay, creation, and dissolution are all part of the same rhythm, the same song of existence. And so the physics of Ooo extend beyond matter, beyond time, beyond even magic. They are the physics of connection, of resonance, of empathy extended across infinity. Each being is a node in this network. Every thought, a subtle vibration. Every act of love or courage, a current that strengthens the design. Finn's compassion, Jake's loyalty, Marceline's music, and Princess Bubblegum's care are not just personal qualities. They are forces that ripple through the multiverse, shaping realities in ways that are often unseen but profoundly real. The multiverse teaches us that nothing is wasted. Every emotion, every intention, every heartbeat contributes to the ongoing flow. Loss becomes opportunity. Chaos becomes possibility. And even the quietest moments, carry weight across realities. In this sense, Ooo is a mirror, reflecting not only the lives of its inhabitants, but the infinite variations of existence itself. It is a world alive with currents that carry meaning, beauty, and resonance through every corner of reality. As night deepens across your room and your own thoughts begin to soften, imagine those multiversal currents stretching outward. Picture Finn standing on a hill, gazing at countless skies, each one a reflection of a world that might be, a song that might play, a choice that might ripple outward. Every version of himself, every friend he has loved, every foe he has faced, all coexisting, all resonating together in a quiet, endless harmony. And as you feel your breath slow, your mind drifting gently towards sleep, remember this: the multiverse is patient, it is gentle, and it is alive. Every choice, every feeling, every act of courage or kindness flows into the currents, shaping the vast, intricate web of reality in ways we may never fully see. But that is the beauty of it. Even in our stillness, even as we drift into dreams, we are part of the song, part of the design, carried softly along the multiversal currents, where Ooo and countless worlds hum in quiet, eternal resonance. Hey there, sleepyheads. If you're still tucked under your blankets, warm and calm, let's take a slow breath together. Tonight, we arrive at the final layer of our exploration, a place where Oo's physics, its magic, and its multiversal currents all fold into something subtle, something gentle, and yet profoundly present. We'll be speaking about the quiet logic of wonder, the soft underlying reason that the impossible feels natural in Ooo, and why the world can hold such extraordinary things without ever seeming chaotic. In Ooo, wonder is not an accident. It is the bedrock of its reality. The strange landscapes, talking animals, elemental beings, and mystical artifacts all follow a logic, though it is a logic far different from what we might expect. It is quiet, subtle, and almost invisible, like the pull of the moon on the tides or the way roots intertwine beneath the soil. Things behave as they do not because someone imposed a strict rule, but because the world has remembered a deeper rhythm, a resonance that guides how life and magic unfold. Consider Finn and Jake as they wander through the forests, deserts, and oceans of Ooo. On the surface, their adventures might seem whimsical or random, filled with peculiar events and unexpected dangers. Yet beneath each encounter, there is a pattern of flow that respects causality, intention, and consequence, even if in a soft, fluid form. Magic and physics coexist seamlessly, obeying a gentle, internal logic that rewards curiosity and compassion. Nothing is truly arbitrary. Even the weirdest moment has a reason hidden in the threads of Oo's emotional and magical fabric. One of the most compelling aspects of this quiet logic is how it intertwines with emotion. In Ooo, feeling is not merely psychological, it carries energy. Joy, grief, love, fear, these are not just responses to events, but forces that shape the environment. When Marceline sings a melancholic tune, the air seems to bend slightly. Clouds may gather, or the shadows may stretch. When Finn shows courage or empathy, the universe subtly accommodates it, opening paths, aligning possibilities, or revealing truths that were not visible before. The world itself seems to listen, responding to intention in a measured and harmonious way. This principle extends to how objects and beings in Ooo interact with one another. Relics like the Enchiridion or the Ice Crown are not just magical tools. They are repositories of past choices, emotion, and energy. Their power is coherent, guided by accumulated resonance. They obey rules that are consistent, though not always explicit. The Ice Crown, for instance, amplifies the wearer's inner turmoil, bending reality according to emotional alignment. This demonstrates that Oo's magic is inherently tied to consciousness, that it respects the inner logic of its inhabitants even when the results appear strange or unpredictable. In this way, Oo's wonder is not chaotic. It has an internal coherence that is both gentle and profound. The unpredictable events that make the world feel alive, sudden transformations, bizarre creatures, spontaneous spells, are all emergent from an underlying system that connects mind, magic, and matter. Think of it as a softly woven lattice. Each thread is flexible, but every thread supports the others, creating a resilient structure that allows for play, surprise, and awe while maintaining balance. Even the most fantastical moments are bound by this quiet logic. The nightosphere, for example, seems like a place of pure chaos, yet its inhabitants operate according to patterns of desire, hierarchy, and emotional resonance. Similarly, dreamscapes in Ooo are not random. They obey an internal grammar, one that mirrors the dreamer's inner state, memory, and subconscious intentions. Prismo's time room functions on this principle, turning wishes into coherent timelines rather than arbitrary explosions of possibility. Everything in Ooo is tied to a gentle, coherent rule set that values resonance over rigidity, harmony over imposition. The quiet logic of Ooo also explains the coexistence of life, death, and transformation. Magic, entropy, and creation are not opposed. They are phases of the same process. The Lich, Golb, and the cosmic entities demonstrate that even destruction follows a rhythm, a purpose within the multiversal currents. Their effects are integrated into the world's flow, preserving balance, enabling renewal, and sustaining wonder. Ooo never feels out of control because even its forces of entropy operate within this quiet logic. They are part of the system's natural ebb and flow, essential notes in the ongoing symphony of existence. This logic extends to relationships, adventures, and growth. Finn's journey, for example, is guided not by external rules alone, but by alignment with purpose, emotion, and moral resonance. His choices resonate through time and space, subtly influencing the multiverse. Jake's adaptability, Marceline's songs, and Bubblegum's care are all amplifiers of the same internal rhythm. The quiet logic of Ooo honors these flows, allowing the world to respond coherently to the hearts of its inhabitants. And perhaps this is the most comforting aspect of Oo's physics and magic. The universe listens. Every act of courage, kindness, or creativity sends a ripple through reality. Every dream and every intention participates in the ongoing dance of the cosmos. The strange, whimsical, and magical phenomena we see in Ooo are not accidents. They are expressions of a universe that is attuned to consciousness and wonder. The world rewards attentiveness. It adjusts gently, preserving coherence while allowing delight and surprise. Every bizarre creature, each spontaneous transformation, and every magical event is a manifestation of a deep internal harmony that unites matter, energy, and emotion. The logic is invisible yet pervasive, subtle yet reliable. It is the soft grammar of Ooo, the pattern behind the play, the pulse beneath the magic. In this way, wonder itself is the final law. It is not imposed from outside, but arises naturally when beings act with awareness, when emotion aligns with intent, and when the threads of consciousness interact with the multiversal currents. Oo's physics, magic, and multiverse all converge here, forming a world that is coherent, responsive, and endlessly gentle in its logic. As we begin to drift even closer to sleep, imagine the soft rhythm of this logic flowing beneath your thoughts. Picture the gentle hum of resonance connecting all things magic, life, emotion, and choice. Every whisper of wind, every ripple in a pond, every flicker of starlight carries the same quiet intelligence. It is patient, consistent, and kind, guiding the improbable and the impossible, with a rhythm that makes sense if you simply listen. If you let yourself feel it, you might notice how this quiet logic stretches beyond the visible world. It flows through Oo's forests, deserts, oceans, and skies, linking creatures and landscapes in a subtle web. Even the smallest things, a falling leaf, the ripple of a pond, the gentle flicker of firelight, follow this same rhythm. They obey a pattern that isn't forced, yet remains perfectly coherent, like water tracing the contours of a stream bed. Each movement, no matter how tiny, contributes to the harmony of the whole. The inhabitants of Ooo, knowingly or unknowingly, participate in this logic. Finn's courage resonates outward, Jake's adaptability bends reality in tiny ways, and Marceline's songs ripple across the fabric of space and time. Princess Bubblegum's creations, from candy citizens to magical inventions, integrate seamlessly into the system because she builds with awareness, aligning her intent with the currents that flow beneath everything. In Ooo, action without resonance may produce results, but it rarely feels complete. The world rewards those who act with connection, those who listen, and those who allow wonder to guide them. Even chaos in Ooo has its place. The Lich and Gull remind us that entropy is not the absence of logic, but another layer of it. They exist as counterbalances, as forces that preserve harmony by reminding the universe of impermanence and the need for renewal. Their presence ensures that the multiverse never stagnates, that creation remains dynamic, and that wonder continues to evolve. Destruction, like creation, is guided by the quiet logic of resonance and consequence. Every collapse seeds the possibility of new forms, new worlds, new melodies within the multiverse's ongoing symphony. This same principle shapes the structure of time itself. Time in Ooo is flexible, responsive, and reflective, bending to resonance and intention. Moments stretch and fold. Dreams intertwine with reality, and alternate possibilities exist simultaneously. Yet even with all this fluidity, the universe maintains coherence. Time may shimmer or loop, but it does so within a framework that honors the quiet logic of wonder. Events unfold in ways that feel natural to those experiencing them, even if they defy conventional reasoning. There is a rhythm beneath the surface, a pulse that ensures the improbable becomes possible without feeling arbitrary. Magic, dreams, multiversal currents. All these forces converge under this quiet logic. They interact fluidly, creating a world where the extraordinary feels inevitable, and where every being, object, and choice carries meaning. The whimsical and the profound exist side by side, connected by a system that responds to attention, emotion, and intent. Nothing is wasted, nothing meaningless. Every ripple, every whisper, every fleeting sensation contributes to the ongoing harmony. And so, as you lie here now, feeling the weight of the blankets and the soft hush of the night, imagine Ooo breathing gently around you. Picture the currents of magic and resonance flowing beneath the forests, rivers, and mountains. Imagine the multiverse stretching outward, each reality humming softly in alignment with the others. Every act of courage, every note of music, every intention to love or to care, all of it resonates across worlds, shaping the melody of existence in quiet, subtle, and beautiful ways. This is the essence of the quiet logic of wonder. It is patient, it is kind, it is profound. It doesn't shout or demand attention. It simply exists, guiding the improbable and extraordinary to unfold naturally. In Ooo, the impossible is possible, not because it defies reason, but because it follows a logic that is deeper, softer, and infinitely more responsive than any rule we could impose. And if you allow yourself to drift further, you may sense this same rhythm beneath your own thoughts. The The world around you, the room you are in, even your own breath and heartbeat, participate in the same quiet, patient resonance. You are, in a way, a part of the wonder itself, another note in the symphony of connection that stretches outward into Ooo and beyond, flowing gently, endlessly, in perfect harmony. And as we continue to sink deeper into this gentle understanding, we realize that the quiet logic of wonder is not merely a framework for magic or physics. It is the very rhythm of life in Ooo. It is the soft pulse that guides everything, from the tiniest spark of flame to the vast expanses of the multiverse. Every interaction, every thought, every song or smile becomes part of this flow, weaving a tapestry that is at once infinitely complex and soothingly coherent. Consider the interactions between beings of different scales. The smallest snail, moving slowly across a leaf, participates in the same harmony as Prismo, reclining in his time room, or Golb, swirling at the edges of creation. The snail may never consciously perceive these connections, but its motion, its simple act of being, creates subtle ripples. Those ripples align, overlap, and sometimes amplify the currents of magic, emotion, and multiversal resonance. Every act of existence, no matter how quiet, matters in the grander pattern. And perhaps this is why Ooo feels so alive, so immersive. Its logic does not demand explanation. It asks only for attention. When Finn smiles at a friend, when Jake stretches his paw to help, when Marceline strums a note that lingers in the night air, these simple acts resonate far beyond the immediate moment. They are translated by the currents of wonder into outcomes that are coherent, even if unpredictable. Magic, time, and multiversal design all bend slightly to accommodate intention, creating a world where the improbable can feel inevitable and the strange can feel entirely natural. The quiet logic also teaches patience. Change does not always happen immediately. Currents flow slowly, layering one ripple atop another until patterns emerge. Finn may not see the consequence of an act of bravery until later, or across dimensions he cannot perceive. Yet the resonance is always there, accumulating, influencing, guiding. This slow, deliberate unfolding is a form of gentle instruction. Ooo encourages attentiveness, reflection, and care, rewarding those who act with awareness while never rushing or forcing results. Even conflict, which might seem disruptive, fits into the system. The Lich, with his hunger for destruction, does not exist as a flaw, but as a necessary counterpoint. His entropy is part of the multiversal currents, a tension that ensures growth, change, and renewal. Without him, harmony might become stagnation. Without the pull of chaos, wonder could lose its dynamic spark. Oo's quiet logic does not suppress opposition. It integrates it, allowing the world to thrive through balance rather than control. Dreams, too, reveal this underlying order. When Finn or other beings drift into dreamscapes, they enter a space where the rules of reality bend, yet the quiet logic persists. Dreams mirror emotion, intention, and unresolved resonance, reflecting possibilities rather than dictating outcomes. The dream world is not chaotic, it is coherent in its own way, following a grammar of feeling that aligns with the multiverse's currents. In dreams, insight, growth, and even playful mischief flow along the same lines of quiet logic, teaching lessons and creating paths without overt force or command. In this sense, the physics of Ooo, the way magic interacts with matter, time with consciousness, and worlds with one another, are not arbitrary. They are an expression of a deep principle, that the universe thrives when its inhabitants participate with care, empathy, and wonder. Every object, every being, every event is attuned to this rhythm. The unexpected, the whimsical, the astonishing, all of it emerges from coherence, not randomness. Ooo is a world alive with intention, softly vibrating in resonance with all who dwell within it. Even the smallest details reflect this pattern. A puddle may ripple in response to a passing footstep. A leaf may shimmer in response to emotion. A shadow may stretch to echo the presence of a thought. These subtle phenomena may go unnoticed, yet they contribute to the living fabric of Ooo. They are reminders that the world is responsive, that it observes, and that it bends gently to the currents of attention and intention. Every being, every action, every feeling leaves a mark, however delicate, however invisible, that continues to flow outward. The more one observes, the more the quiet logic of wonder becomes evident. It is a system that balances freedom with coherence, spontaneity with alignment, chaos with pattern. Magic, time, multiversal currents, dreams, all exist not as separate forces, but as expressions of a single principle. A principle that values resonance over rigidity, listening over dominance, connection over control. The impossible is possible because it follows a rhythm that is subtle yet precise, fluid yet coherent. And so, as your eyelids grow heavier and your breath deepens, imagine Oo's quiet logic flowing gently beneath your awareness. Feel it in the hum of the night, in the rhythm of your heartbeat, in the soft expansion and contraction of your lungs. The currents of magic, wonder, and resonance move through you as they move through the forests, oceans, and skies of Ooo. Every dream, every intention, every thought you have carries weight, forming ripples in the soft fabric of existence. This is the lullaby of Ooo, a song not sung aloud, but felt in the rhythm of life, in the gentle logic that makes the extraordinary natural, the impossible plausible, and the whimsical profound. The universe listens, responds, and flows patiently, endlessly, gently inviting you to drift with it, to become part of its harmony and to rest in the comfort of its quiet, unfathomable, and endlessly tender logic. As you lie there feeling the soft pull of sleep, let your mind drift into the subtle patterns that surround Ooo. Imagine the world breathing slowly beneath the stars, its magic flowing through every hill, river, and forest. The multiverse hums quietly in the distance, sending gentle vibrations across time and space, and Ooo itself resonates with a calm intelligence. Every being, from the smallest snail to the most powerful cosmic entity, participates in this silent, harmonious dance. Think of Finn and Jake walking through the Land of Ooo, their steps aligning with the invisible currents that govern the world. Each choice they make, each act of courage or kindness, sends faint ripples outward. Those ripples touch other beings, other realities, other versions of themselves in ways that are unseen but profoundly meaningful. The quiet logic of wonder ensures that even the smallest actions have weight. Even the tiniest gestures leave traces across the fabric of existence. Magic in Ooo is not wild or random. It is attentive, responsive, and deliberate. Spells, transformations, and miracles unfold according to the resonance of the heart, the alignment of intention, and the flow of energy that connects all things. Even the most improbable events obey the underlying harmony of the world. The Ice King's crown bends reality according to emotional resonance. Prismo's wishes ripple across timelines according to intent. Marceline's music carries echoes that shape unseen worlds. Everything is connected by a network of invisible threads, and every vibration matters. The multiversal currents that course through Ooo and beyond are patient, subtle, and eternal. They fold possibilities upon themselves, carrying infinite variations of existence like gentle waves across a calm sea. Each current is an echo of thought, emotion, and action, forming a living tapestry that is constantly shifting, yet remarkably coherent. It is here, in this flowing network of possibility, that Oo's true wonder emerges, the ability for extraordinary, impossible events to feel natural, and for chaos and harmony to coexist effortlessly. Even forces that seem destructive have their place in this harmony. Galb and the Lich, embodiments of entropy and dissolution, exist not to break the world, but to preserve the balance of the multiverse. Their actions, though frightening, feed into the currents of renewal and growth. Destruction in Ooo is not an end, but a transformation, a necessary counterpoint that allows creation and wonder to continue. In this way, the quiet logic of Ooo is both gentle and resilient, integrating even chaos into its harmonious rhythm. Dreams, too, obey this logic. When Finn or any other being drifts into a dream, they enter a realm where emotion and intention shape reality. The dream world mirrors the inner state, weaving subconscious threads into coherent patterns. Even there, the multiverse's currents respond, aligning experiences with the resonance of the dreamer's heart. Dreams are not random. They are extensions of the quiet logic, a softer reflection of the harmony that governs the waking world. And so, Ooo teaches us that wonder is not a fleeting spectacle, but a principle, a rhythm, a logic that underlies every corner of existence. It reminds us that the improbable is not impossible. The chaos can be meaningful, and that every being, every thought, every feeling is part of a larger, living network. The physics, magic, multiversal currents, and emotional resonance all converge to form a world that is coherent, responsive, and endlessly tender. As you feel your body sinking further into sleep, imagine yourself within this quiet logic. Visualize the gentle hum of magic flowing beneath the land, carrying whispers of possibility, echoes of dreams, and the soft heartbeat of the multiverse. Imagine currents of wonder wrapping around you like a warm blanket, guiding your mind and body into calm, effortless rest. You are part of the harmony, another note in the endless symphony that stretches across time, space, and imagination. Even as your thoughts grow quieter, remember that the universe listens. Every dream you carry, every intention you nurture becomes part of the resonance. The extraordinary and the whimsical, the impossible and the improbable, all follow this quiet logic, allowing Ooo and its countless realities to thrive. The multiverse flows patiently, endlessly, and gently, carrying all beings in a rhythm that is comforting, reassuring, and profoundly alive. And as you drift fully into sleep, let yourself be carried by that rhythm, wrapped in the soft, tender intelligence of Ooo. Allow the currents of magic, wonder, and connection to lull you completely, reminding you that you are part of a universe that is coherent, responsive, and endlessly gentle. Close your eyes and feel the resonance, the harmony, and the quiet logic guiding every particle, every thought, and every heartbeat. Good night. Good